light off.
No.
Let me turn it off and see.
Huh? Try it. Ooh, no, that's too dark. Oh, goodness. All right, we are live. Let's see what we got here.
Oh yeah, that light.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
do
like
something about that.
Oh no, that's too dark. I know we
Okay, we gotta vote. Okay, so
you want to go ahead and greet our guests?
good evening, everyone. We are Andrew and Rhonda Dove with 30 Till Forever. We're coming to you live tonight to see if we can have these hard conversations that we need to have with our spouses.
Right. I know. The we actually it's 5 conversations that we wanted to put our focus on the next couple of weeks, but quite honestly, we covered financials already about a couple of weeks ago.
There's still some aspects of financials that we need to talk about.
Okay, well we'll bring it back up again. We'll do that one last then. But we're gonna talk about five hard conversations, and we picked the doozy for tonight to kick everything off.
You picked the doozy to kick everything.
We picked the doozy.
Okay.
And it's just this. We're gonna talk about how do you make the conversation, because listen, nobody wants to make this conversation. Nobody likes it.
Anybody know what you're talking about? Come on.
This is a build up.
Oh,
even even you you've avoided this conversation.
Okay.
And we're talking about making arrangements.
Oh yeah.
After setting your spouse up after you pass, or after a spouse passes. And these are conversations that a lot of couples do not have. They don't talk about the arrangements after someone passes.
But I mean, it's not even necessarily after someone passes, because we're all going through life, and life happens. And as life is happening to each one of us, we come to the realization that we're not going to be around forever. And when we come to the realization that we're not going to be around forever, what's the next step? What's going to happen to my husband or to my wife? And what do? We all need to take the opportunity to sit down and talk with one another about the arrangements that has to be made, and things that has to be done, and legal papers that needs to be put in place for situations such as that.
Yeah, because sadly, when young couples don't think about this, I mean, they won't bring it up. They think that they're invincible and they have time to actually, prepare for this later on in life. But what if you're young and your spouse passes? So, to be honest with you, me being a pastor, these are things that should be covered even in marital counseling.
Absolutely.
And it should be set up to where you actually cover these things, because it's a hard conversation, because number one, you're preparing for a wonderful life together, prayerfully, and then you're talking about the end of someone's life. You're making preparations for, but it's a necessary conversation. So for those of you who are watching right now, have you had this conversation with your spouse about arrangements? Because listen, everybody wants to avoid this conversation, but it's not a popular conversation to have with anybody.
The fact of the matter is that in this day and age, and the way that people are dying without notice, people are getting shot. You can't control what tomorrow brings, but the thing that you can control is whether you're prepared for whatever happens tomorrow or not.
Yeah, and here's the kicker. 100 decisions are gonna have to be made, like quick. And then when those decisions are made, then it piles on more decisions that have to be made, and you don't think about it. And you can say, well, I left the insurance for you, you can handle it from there. But it's so much more that has to go in, that has to come into play when you're making those plans and having this conversation with your spouse. A basic understanding might be something like, where do you want to be buried? People don't talk about where they want to be buried. Or do you want to be cremated or do you want to be buried? Because we've had this conversation before, and just talking, our preferences. Me, I told you, I don't want to be cremated, but some people don't care. Do whatever you do. I won't be here anyway. But no, you still have to have this conversation. Know the wishes, because listen, the ugly side in families will come out when somebody passes, and if this stuff is not laid out, people will they will go nuts. Well, I know they said this to me, and you don't know what somebody will say.
And it's not so much as your last and final wishes as to where you want to be buried or not, but having all those financial documents into place and having your will in place to let everyone know exactly, and having it notarized, legalized, however you're supposed to do it, to let everyone that's involved know these are my wishes. And right. It's on a legal document, so they can't even argue with it. Because a lot of times you would not think it could be a sister, a brother, or auntie, or uncle, or someone that is going to come in and say, no, I'm supposed to get. And it's sad, but when someone passes and they have any amount of money, people fight. They fight over the money. They fight over what I can have, what I'm going to sell, what I'm going to get out of all of it. And if you don't have all this stuff written down, it is going to create some families break up over things like this. Yeah. So
greed is real within the nicest of families.
Greed is so real. I mean, I lost my mom in 2005, and I'm not going to say it was a pleasant situation to how things was being handled. Me and my sisters, we went through some stuff. We had some spats, but we did manage to get through it. And that's when you always have one or maybe two people, whatever, that have level heads and know how to, at least talk their way through it, rather than getting into a big family dispute or argument that can, work everything out. So if there is not a will in place, then
because like
it can be over the smallest amount of money. It don't have to be a large amount of money.
Yeah, well, even when my mom passed, my sister and I, we didn't fight over anything. We just said, okay, we do this. Whatever you want, you got it. Whatever you want, you got it. And
that's pretty much what my sister said.
And we did it, and we got it over with. But when it's concerning your spouse,
yes.
Oh, Jesus. Like I said, it's a hard conversation because nobody wants to prepare for the end.
Nobody even wants to think about it.
Nobody wants to think about it. And you've got to think about it.
And these are hard conversations to have. And as we get older and we start realizing that we're not going to be around forever and we still have not had that conversation, we have to stop and sit down and look at one another and really think about, okay, so if something happened to me, what next? If something happened to him, what next?
Yeah, because, think about the house. Think about the cars. Think about bank accounts. You don't think about this stuff while you're alive, but when somebody passes, see, the surviving spouse may have to go get a power of attorney just to be able to stay in the house they've been in for 30 or 40 years because their name is not on the deed. Or there are bank accounts that you're not, a spouse might not be on, and they got to have access to. They got to have a power of attorney to be able to have access to those funds, and it might be those funds to be able to even bury you. So, these are things that have got to be discussed, and we fail to have these conversations. I thought I prided myself to make sure that, say, hey, my wife is taken care of if something were to happen to me. But I'm not so sure now, after conversations that we had over the weekend, that my wife will be absolutely positively okay if I passed first. And I have to, and as a husband, I've got to make sure that she is well taken care of if I pass first. I got to make sure that you're okay, that you won't lose the house, you won't lose the truck, you won't lose anything, that that everything will be set up for you to have. And see, like my wife mentioned, wills. It is very important that we establish wills. And we put the groundwork down. Even if you have to put a packet together with all the arrangements, because I years ago I brought this up to my wife. Like I said, she would run from the conversation. I told her I want to go prepay for our funeral expenses. And and I'm like, man, go to a funeral home. Let's see put a package together, and then we make payments on it, and then whenever we pass it, it's already taken care of. And that's another option. Why are you looking like that, love?
I mean, these are hard conversations to have. I don't really like having a conversation, even though I know it's necessary for us to talk about it and get everything laid out. And even right now, this is not something that I'm comfortable with. I'm just,
like I said, this is why we got. Can you have the hard conversations with your spouse? Those of you who are watching right now, have you guys discussed this within your marriage or with your relationship? Have you discussed all of this? What's going to work best for the both of you, and it's not just sweep it under the rug and wait one day till you think you can prepare for it, but it's something that needs to be prepared for, like right now.
Yeah,
because none of us are guaranteed tomorrow.
Absolutely. And I mean, the fact that I'm uncomfortable talking about it does not mean that we're not gonna have the conversations, because all of our stuff, after this weekend, we in conversations that we've had this weekend, we know that we got some stuff that we need to take care of, and some papers that we need to get put in place, and some signatures that need to be put here and there to make sure that if something happened to me, he have access to all of my accounts. If something happened to him, I have access to all his accounts, because everything is together, but it's separated in a sense of where you keeping certain things separated so that you can work things out. So in the process of trying to make sure that we have everything together, and as far as being buried or cremated, he already know where I stand. He don't want to be cremated. I don't care. Me. I don't care about
not burn this luscious skin right here. You ain't setting me on fire. Nope.
I don't care either way it goes. I just, more than anything else, I just want to have my life right with Christ. So as long as that's all right, I'm not worried about where my flesh goes after my soul is departed from this body. But we still have to make sure that all the papers and all the signatures are where they are supposed to be.
Right.
Because...
And they know how to find them.
And know where everything... Absolutely. We have to know what everything is. And it's like, even if you be like, well, I don't need a will because I ain't got nothing. You still need a will.
Yeah. And, you remember years ago, I wanted to have this conversation with the girls. I wanted to have a conversation with you and the girls, to say, hey, look, we need to sit down and talk about this. Oh, we don't want to talk about losing you, Daddy. And then they walked out the room.
And, yeah, but you need to get your kids together, your loved ones. You need to get them all together. And we just have to. This can't be put on the back burner any longer. I mean, you have COVID, you got the flu, you got COVID and the flu. You got people walking around with guns and shooting folks for no apparent reason.
Breaking into homes. Why you in them?
Gunfire going off and shooting through the house, and somebody gets shot and they're dead the next day. You just don't know what tomorrow brings. There's too many things that's happening in this world today for us not to be prepared for tomorrow for our eternity.
I can tell how many people are checking in and checking back out once they see what we're talking about, that they don't want to have the conversation as well.
It's a hard conversation to have.
Dewana says she can have the conversation. Then she says her husband, he don't want to have the conversation.
Can you reach up and define?
But it's just where it is right now. I can't reach across that. It's too far. No, it'll go away in a second by the time you get up. But you gotta have the conversation. You gotta make time for the conversation. Even if it's a little bit at a time, start if you make some progress, just like I said earlier, start with the simple. Well, I won't say simple, but start with, hey, where would you like to be buried? I don't know. Never thought about it. Or,
I don't care.
Or, okay, if you want to be buried or you want to be cremated, I don't know. Never thought about it. Well, let's sit down and talk about it for a minute. Just tell me, how you feel about certain things. And, my wife and I, we got different views on it. And I will honor her wishes, whatever she wants.
I don't care.
But see, these are the things that, I know what you said that you want. Well, you would prefer, I won't say prefer, but something you were like, okay, well, I want this done. And I would honor that.
I don't think I've ever said I wanted to be buried or cremated. I don't care.
Yeah.
Would I say cremated?
Cremated.
I don't care. Yeah, go ahead and cremate me and go have fun with the rest of the money.
And that's exactly what you said. That's exactly what you said. You said, go ahead, get me cremated so you can keep the rest of the money.
Have fun with the rest of the money. Put me in a jar sitting on a banister on a fireplace thingy.
Dewana says, I can't attend funerals, and I do. I never view the body. I keep a good memory of the person and use that as a closure. And that is good. That work. That a lot of people are the exact same way, Dewana.
I'm one. I will go if I have to, but I don't like viewing the bodies. I never go to the graveside, hardly ever. I think I've been to maybe 2 gravesides.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not something that, it hurts.
See, I know sometimes funeral homes don't do the very best at preparing the body to make you look like you were yourself. They kind of, I've seen some ugly, Lord forgive me. But a person that looked nothing like themselves, and I'm looking like, who was that? And they just messed the person's face up.
Okay, don't talk about that. That's not necessary to talk about.
Okay.
That's not necessary.
Okay. But yeah, you make sure my face good. That's all I got to say.
I'm cremating.
No.
But see, that's the whole thing. If you want to be buried, you want to have a grave site. I don't believe in going.
See, I'm gonna have a military funeral, so
and that's fine. And you can have your military funeral, and you can be buried. And as much as I love you, I know for a fact I will never visit your gravesite if something was to happen.
That's fine with me.
Because you will always be in my heart, and that's that. I know that your body will be in the ground, your flesh will be in the ground, but you're not there. So
see that's perfectly fine, because a lot of people don't go visit cemeteries. I'm not a cemetery visitor myself. I might go one time just to see where it is, and that's it. And I won't go again. But other than that, it wouldn't be an annual thing. I can't say that because it depends on how I'm mourning. If
for the first couple of years,
if I'm really mourning you, then it very well possibly I can. I probably will, just so I can act like I'm talking to you, which I know I'm not. But
I will be in your heart. But the thing is that if you don't take anything else away from this conversation that we are having tonight, take this away. You must sit down with your spouse, and if you have any children or anybody else that will be affected financially or otherwise by your passing, sit everybody down, have the hard conversation, let them know your wishes, get it on paper.
Yes, that's the most important part, getting it on paper.
Legalized so people will know, and there won't be any questions, and it takes all the hard work out of it, and you don't have to think about it. I know when my mom passed, me and my sisters had to have the conversation and find out exactly what it was that she wanted. I did not know. My sisters told me that they've had conversations with her, and this is what she said to do. So, and she's the first one in my family has ever been cremated. And then after that, it kind of just stopped following suit. But if that's not something that you want to have done, these are really things that you need to talk about, and have it on paper, and make sure that you get your will done.
DeWanda says, nope, not looking at anybody dead if I can help it. I definitely don't do grave sites.
Nope.
And you know, like I said, my wife, she don't do them either. But the point is, like my wife said, you got to have the conversation and get everything down on paper. Get everything locked down to where there is no misunderstandings between. Because if something were to happen to me, I know that my sisters, they all would be here for my wife. Number one, they all would be here. But then I know some of my sisters might try to interject with what they feel like they think my wishes would be, or something that they may prefer over my wife. But she is my wife, and she makes those decisions. And you can have friction in your family unit because of these decisions. And if you have it down on paper, there can't be anything said about it. Say, here it is. This is what my husband wanted. This is how it's going to be. This is how he said it's going to be. And that's it. And they can't say anything about it. No one can say anything. So and that's how you have got to view it. You know. And like I said, when over the weekend, we realized that we weren't as prepared as we would like to be. So we're actually reevaluating. That's what spurred this conversation on this evening. And that's what we're preparing. We're redoing a lot of stuff to get everything set back up to where I feel comfortable if something were to happen to me before her, that she's squared away. That I don't have to sweat, because be honest with you, it's something that I've been thinking about for a while. If something were to happen to me, is my wife really okay? I don't want her to be homeless. But it can happen.
I got 2 children. I got somewhere to go.
No, I'm just saying, you're a grown woman. You shouldn't have to be living with your kids, and you have a house.
They're gonna take care of me one day.
Or lose a car. Or lose any. You shouldn't have to lose anything unless you want to lose it.
Unless you want to give it up.
Unless you want to give it up. Yeah, that's a nice way to say it. Thank you.
Lose anything.
Thank you. But yeah. Unless you want to just say, hey, I really don't care about this particular thing, then I'm fine with that. Cool. But if the thought of you not having a roof over your head or financially be set, it really bothers me.
So let me ask you a question. I know with the 2 of us, we just sat down and we just start talking about it.
Mm.
But how would you recommend someone to be able to get their family and the ones that it's going to affect together to be able to sit down and have these kind of conversations?
Have a dinner. Everybody like to come together to eat, but listen, don't just bring people there that really won't have a say. But like with me and my wife, if we were to do something like that, it would be, of course, me and my wife, my children, and I would say that my children could elect to have their kids there if they wanted to,
and their spouses,
and their spouses, because their spouses are my kids too,
right?
And those are the only people who will have anything to say about my decisions. I love my sisters, but they're not my immediate family. Is my wife and my children. So y'all would be the ones that I would have that conversation with.
And children, note this: I will be the one that will be making the decision.
Of course, because you're my wife. But in the event that they will have to be there for you as well, and that's the thing.
So I might not be able to do that.
Having a backup plan. If you can't do certain things, that you would have our children there to help assist.
Yes.
Or a friend to say, hey, I need you to help assist with this. Because I often think about who would because I know if something were to happen to you before me, my children would lose it, and I couldn't depend on them to help me with anything. So who could I trust to help me with this stuff? Because I wouldn't ask your sisters.
I think that you would be able to hold it together long enough to take care of what needs to be taken care of.
I think so, but I'm not there, so I can't. I would think that I would be, but like I say, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but see how hard this conversation is, because you really don't know where it's gonna go or where it's gonna lead, and then you start thinking about stuff that you really, really didn't think about before. Because, like I said, one decision spurs on another decision that spurs on 100 more decisions. So,
just make sure your papers are in order.
Just make sure the papers are in order. And that's the key. Make sure that your papers are in order. Put it down on paper. Find you an attorney. Get everything down and lock everything down, and let somebody know where to find the papers. Yes. I don't know. And see, back in the day, it was big on people to purchase safe deposit boxes and put important papers in safety deposit boxes. But I know a lot of times now, from our generation on, I guess the people really don't purchase safety deposit boxes anymore to put those documents in. But if you have to, get a little safe or something to keep in your closet.
A fireproof safe.
Fireproof safe. And just let someone know, hey, put their hands on it. Hey, this is where it is. This is where the key is. And if anything ever happens, you open this up, and it would in detail go down the list, and you can follow through with everything. And that's how you can set everything up. And like I said, we have to reevaluate some things with us, and because I thought we were in pretty good shape, but after the conversation we had this past weekend, I know that we're not. You got anything else you want to add? Because you kind of silent there, girl.
Nope, I'm good.
I told you this is a conversation that she really does not like to have. So I know Dewana said that she had a conversation and her spouse don't like to have the conversation. Do we have anybody who's watching now? Both of you and your spouse don't mind talking about it or having a conversation. If you do, just let us know if you've already had the conversation. And if both of you were willing participants, or one was like, I really don't want to talk about this, but because pretty much one person will and one person won't in most relationships, because the other person really don't want to think about preparing for death.
And it's not really something that anybody wants to have, but it is very necessary.
It's very necessary. So, guys, I don't know how we could carry this on any further. We covered everything, and we only got 2 more minutes anyway.
It ain't nothing else.
But we're actually to give you an idea of where we're gonna be going over the next couple of weeks. We're gonna touch on the care for parents. Tarsha says, I'm just coming in. They speak about it. So, Tarsha, while you're on here, let me ask, you speak about it, but have you guys really put down on paper your plan so that nothing else could be misconstrued about your wishes between you and your husband?
For the way your finances will be handled.
If your finances, house, cars, everything, if you don't mind me asking. Because like I said, we have the conversations, but are we following through with the conversations and seeking an attorney, getting a will, making sure everybody, your spouse's name is on the deeds, your spouse's name is on the vehicles, all this other stuff.
Everything needs to be
in order because
on paper, legalized, where everyone knows where everything is and knows exactly what your wishes are.
That's a long.
That's a lot of stuff that somebody just wrote.
I can't read that. I wish I could see all that.
We've had the conversation and we were both willing to. Are there any resources you can share with couples to assist them with making the necessary preparations?
The first one would be find an attorney.
Are there any resources that we can give them that we already know of?
Well,
I have some links.
Shoot.
I have some links. I don't have them on the top of my head, but I have some links. I'm going to see who wrote this, and then I will send it to you in an email, or I'll just put it on the page later so that you'll be able to see what it is, because we actually do have someone, as a matter of fact, that has a legalized booklet that you can get this booklet and follow it step by step by step so that you don't miss anything. And I'm not sure exactly what the cost is to get it legalized or anything, but I will get all the information before next Wednesday. So if anybody have any questions about that, I can make sure that you have it.
And we'll post that, and we'll have that ready available for you guys. And that is an awesome question. Because
Jamila asked it.
No, what was it, Jamila?
Yeah.
Okay, and here's the thing, and more than likely, if you go to an attorney, they will walk, because they do this stuff all the time. They can walk you through a lot of that stuff to get it ready.
Tasha said that her kids talk to them about it. That's awesome.
See, that's good. If your children approach you and they get it, you don't find that in that generation right there that will say, hey.
A lot of times they don't want to talk about it.
They don't.
So when your kids are to the point of maturity where they feel okay, and I'm not saying that kids that don't talk about it is immature. I'm saying that it takes a strong child to be able to be like, okay, mom, dad, y'all got this stuff together. So if something happened to one of you guys, we know exactly what we're supposed to be doing. So
right,
yeah.
And that is, and Tasha also says they haven't prepared for anything yet, but they're looking into it now.
Absolutely.
And she said their children told them to put it on paper.
Absolutely.
And see, you don't find kids that get that. And but you'll be surprised. Like I said, this was a conversation that was spurred up over the weekend between my wife and I. And excuse me, I like to prepare for any and everything. And I'm thinking that, my wife gonna be good. My wife gonna be straight. And I'm like, after we had this conversation, I'm like, we not really as straight as I thought we were. Because we don't think about the deed to the house. We don't think about, like when I went and purchased my truck, that you weren't with me when I purchased the truck. Stuff like that. It's simple stuff like that. Dewana says, me too. I shave. I'll say to get the ball rolling on this one, because I need to make Antonio have this conversation. No, my son won't discuss it with me at all.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Leon,
she said half. She said she have to have the conversation.
Leon, they don't want to discuss it either. But this is something that we're gonna need to kind of tie them down to the chair and get it out there, because they have kids and they need to get it out out there and be prepared to make sure that their kids are taken care of also. So we just have to. This is something that we have to do.
Right.
And a lot of times we don't. The one thing. Okay, so with me, it has been a task to get life insurance for me since I was diagnosed with lupus. For whatever reason, they only want to give you the bare minimum life insurance when you're diagnosed with a chronic illness. So the thing that hurts for me to even think about is if my kids or my husband might have to go and do a GoFundMe to bury me.
Right.
I mean, that's not something that I want to think about.
And it's hard when, like, with that, you got to string along
A bare minimum, multiple
insurance policies
in order to
make
sure that you have what you need
and
in the end.
Nobody should have to go through that.
Nobody should have to go through that. And that causes a lot of stress.
Right.
Because before I received my diagnosis, I had already had the disease. And before I received the diagnosis, I could get insurance for, what, $250,000?
Girl, I had $750 on you.
Well, however much it was. But then once you get the diagnosis, if that insurance for whatever reason drops, or they find out that you're sick, then now it gets cut down, or you move from one company to the next company, then they are now, the max we can do is $10,000, $15,000. So now you got to get more insurance together.
Yeah, and
in situations such as mine.
And that will pretty much just barely be enough to be able to handle the burial expenses.
And I was shocked when I found that. I'm like, that is so crazy. I might be around forever, and I'm paying a premium of what someone else is paying, and they're getting $250,000 to $750,000, and I'm getting 10.
Mm-hmm.
What sense does that make? They need to do something about this insurance.
I agree. Well, guys, listen, we appreciate you guys, your comments and your questions. We will get some resources posted. And we probably can share them on multiple pages at multiple times, even on this feed right here. And we'll get that information to you. But we're gonna cover financials again. We're gonna cover education. We're gonna cover medical care, and we're gonna cover the care for parents.
I'm gonna be one of them parents. I ain't going to no old folks home. My children gonna take care of me.
Listen,
they're gonna take care of you.
Believe it or not, these are hard conversations to have. It's hard to have a conversation about financials. It's hard to have conversations about education and how you're going to pay for it. It's hard, and that can tie in with financials as well. But listen, medical care, that's a hard discussion to have, because you got to see where you got to take it. You know, a person's wishes. Do you want to resuscitate or not resuscitate?
Conversation. Oh yeah, that would be really hard. But one of them hard conversations that you will have though is in our older age, and you're a younger parent, our children, to have a conversation with each other. What we're gonna do with mom and daddy on both sides?
Yeah. Because
it's like, if I don't really like your mama, she ain't coming to stay with me.
That's why we're gonna be talking about the care for parents.
Right. So this is a conversation that y'all young.
But listen, she loved my mom. Now that she loved my mama.
We don't have either one of those.
I know, but I'm just saying. I don't want nobody to ever think she don't love his mom. No,
I did. I love.
And then the moms that I do have in my life right now, she loves them dearly too. So.
Well, they mine too.
You're right. Sorry. Oh goodness. But listen, guys, we will get these resources out to you guys as soon as we get them and be able to post them online. We appreciate you guys for tuning in tonight. This topic, like I said, it's not an easy discussion to have with you. But
very necessary.
But it is a very necessary conversation. Love you guys. My name is Andrew.
And I am Ron.
And we're 30 Till Forever. We appreciate you guys for your support and everything. We will see you guys soon.
Listen, but before you go, we have a YouTube channel. If y'all missing it, go to YouTube. 30 Till Forever. Is it?
Yeah, the number 30 Till Forever on YouTube, and you can go back and look at previous shows on there too.
Like, follow, share.
Exactly. Thank you for that, because I completely forgot about YouTube.
That's hilarious.
Hit the little bell button, ding,
to remind you whenever we post a video. We're stupid.
Love you guys. Y'all have a good evening. Bye.
My body hurts.